Hi everyone, this is Tiffany Guy, and this is my video on standardized testing. Connect. How does this information connect to what I already know? I am a VPK teacher for the Putnam County School District here in North Florida, and I am required to give standardized testing assessment to my students 3 times a year. I've also worked in daycares for quite some time, about 15 years, and I've been required to assess the Bailey Scales assessment, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about that. First, the VPK assessment. I give this 3 times a year, once in the fall, once before we go home for Christmas, and then once at the end of the year. It measures 4 areas: print knowledge, phonological awareness, mathematical awareness, and oral language and vocabulary. The way the test is given, the children are asked a question. I ask them a question, and there's a flip book, and the children are required to point to the answer or verbally give me an answer in certain situations. My concerns with the validity and reliability of this test tend to go with what our textbook said, that the evaluation of preschool children under 6 must be conducted with their developmental characteristics in mind and one child at a time. It said that the validity and reliability are affected due to the child's limited attention span and willingness to attempt to respond to the examiner. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I find it's difficult in a classroom with 20 children to actually sit down with one child and have all of their attention and get them going and taking their assessment. I feel they're distracted. I feel they're scared. They're 4 years old, and this is new, especially the AP1, the first one that I do. They're scared, and they guess a lot, and they're also afraid of answering the question and afraid of getting it wrong. And chances are, the first assessment of the year, they're going to get it wrong. We show a lot of growth through the year. So I definitely believe that it affects the validity and reliability, just like our textbook told us. As far as the Bailey scales are a little bit different. They assess fine and gross motor, both receptive and expressive language, and cognitive developments of infants and toddlers up to age 3. The Bailey scales are more like games. So I think that they are a little bit better for assessment, but also I agree with our textbook when it says that it's difficult to assess children at this age because there's so much rapid developmental growth. They are growing and changing both physically and cognitively. So it's difficult to actually pinpoint what's going on at a certain time. I do believe in continued assessment, continued standardized testing, moving forward, showing growth because of all of these developmental changes. Extend. What new ideas do I have after reading this information? Well, it's funny. I read this chapter right after I went to a 3-hour training on how to administer the VPK assessment. Even though I've been administering it for quite some time, they were starting a new Teaching Strategies Gold Objectives observation system, and they're retraining all of the VPK teachers. I assume that's what they're doing to give the first assessment because they will fall hand in hand. I wanted to talk about some of the things we talked about in our training, which went along with some of the things that we read in our textbook as far as how to have the reliability and validity factors, make them better. One of the factors that was listed in the textbook was the physical condition of the testing room. That is something we talked about in my training. Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Is it too loud? Is it too dark? Is it too quiet? Make sure that the child is comfortable while taking this test, and also the physical condition of the individual. Am I giving these kids their assessment right after they wake up from nap? Are they awake? Are they ready to go? Or am I giving it to them in the morning when they're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and going to do their best? Another issue we talked about was the appearance of the teacher. Is the teacher sitting up straight and engaged in the child? Is the teacher playing on her cell phone? Is she having a snack, chewing gum? Things like that. Unclear directions. We talked a lot and in depth about exactly how to ask the questions, exactly how to pronounce letter sounds, things like that. Um, I found it very, very interesting that I could use my training to help extend my learning and my reading from this text. Challenge. Biggest challenge I gather from this information is, what does this mean for my own children? I have three children. They are 9, 7, and 5. And so they are in elementary school. And they have so many tests that I don't even feel like the teachers are teaching curriculum anymore. They are teaching the test. As much as we are told as teachers not to teach the test, that is exactly what's happening. There are standards and objectives and scales and everything's aligned, and these tests are overwhelming, and my kids are nervous, and it's just very different from when I went to school and from when my husband went to school. And I worry that if this continues and the pressure just surmounts on these children, that school is no longer going to be a positive experience. Although I believe that testing is beneficial because it shows us where we need to work in our problem areas and in children's individual problem areas and how to help them grow, I think that there's a happy medium between the high volume of standardized testing and pressure and then the way it was when we were children and school was fun. Thanks.